Europe is kind of been stagnant because the EU's a thing. Belarus is even in it. But because the EU exists, it essentially stagnates all European inward, continental European expansion, or even Great Britain and Ireland fighting it out. It doesn't happen because the EU won't allow infights. Understandable, but still annoying from a gameplay perspective. We don't get to see very much of what happens. Anyway, Senegal looking like quite the player. Chad having quite a big name, but not the development to back it up. Nigeria also, and the Equato-Guinean War has ended with Gabon being full annexed. Mayumba has been added to Equatorial Guinea, along with some sweet development for such a tiny country. Anyway, we have the second Brazilian-Peruvian nationalist war. Looks like all the Southern and Central Americans are getting involved here. So we have Brazil, Paraguay, Guyana, Colombia up against Peru, Mexico, Venezuela, and Argentina. So 3 of the major players in the region up against a bunch of small states in Brazil. This one's going to be interesting. Brazil's going to be attacked on all sides, from the north, from the west, and from the south. Not the east, thankfully. Unless there's a lot of boats somewhere, but these troop movements are going to make us lag once again. Russian Circassian imperialist law, let's check on that real quick, because we don't want to miss it. Okay, well that's going to be quick and decisive. 26 development back under Russia. However, Azerbaijan has joined on the Circassian side. Maybe we'll see a different outcome. Unlikely. Azerbaijan may in fact lose most of its hinterlands, which wouldn't be good for Azerbaijan, and not very good for Russia, I guess. The Amazonias are being attacked. However, Venezuela proper is being assaulted, and much richer land is there rather than in the Amazonias. We have Peru as yet unmolested in the north, but being pushed hard in the south. And we have Argentina losing most of its bordering provinces to Brazilian occupation at the moment, as they can't formulate a proper army to respond. And we see Macio da Costa pushing. Oh, he's dead. Oops, shouldn't have uttered his name. Oh dear. I do believe my commentary's somewhat off, and I do apologise for that. Anyway, we have the Zambia-Mozambican nationalist war. So that's Zambia, Comoros, Tanzania, and Swaziland up against Mozambique, Angola, and Democratic Republic of Congo. So 3 failed states defending against 3 very successful states. This is going to be a no contest. As we can see, Swaziland does want 1 province. However, we will see if they will get it. And Tanzania, I hope, does gain from this. Tanzania holds a good place in my heart. I like Tanzania, the country, because it actually, compared to most African nations, it's relatively successful. It's the same with Zambia, though. I hope they both do well. I digress, though. There is a much bigger war going on in South America, and not much is happening. We have the Argentinians being pushed very hard, as they are forced to regain back in the south what they lost to the first Brazilian offensive. And we have a war that's ended. Don't know where it was. Maybe I'm imagining things. Liberia has expanded quite drastically, to be honest. You had the 2 base provinces of Grain Coast and Kru, and they have gained Ivory Coast, Guianan, and Konian, which is very good for them. And Kon and Segu did spawn at one point. I do remember that. It's been a long time since I recorded this, unfortunately. And Ghana is doing quite well and profiting quite nicely from the peace. Togo, for some reason, isn't. Don't know how that's working. Anyway, step up your game, Togo. Go, go, go. Considering Ghana actually has a huge lake in this region, and the map seems to just cover it with province, so I don't know. Interesting that. Anyway, nothing else is happening. However, the Dutch are losing the punitive war. Zambian-Mozambican war seems to be moving a bit faster than the Brazilian one, so let's go check it out. Mozambique only having 2 provinces occupied, but its main bulk of provinces not being under threat. Very interesting. Well, Makuan, they're mostly Makuan, aren't they? Yeah, Makua, Niassa, Swahili, and Tonga. Oh, the cultures are a mess in this region. There you go. That gives you a good indication, doesn't it? That's not even that accurate, if I'm being frank. It's not that accurate at all. But still, yeah, it kind of gives you a good indication of how many tribes there are in Africa. Like up here, there's this area which ended up being South Sudan was not all Dinka. Mostly Dinka, but not all Dinka. Same with up here in Kenya. Swahili, and you had the Kikuyu and the Luo and a bunch of other tribes. Anyway, that war has ended, and Zambia has integrated 2 of the Mozambican provinces, and they are now landlocked as Swaziland takes Ibo, their only Swahili province. Tanzania doesn't gain, unfortunately, but that's alright. As we can see, Venezuela finally pushing into more rich Brazil. Still haven't made it the first green province, however. Manaus has been occupied, and they are not that far from the capital, Brasilia. However, the Brazilians do have quite the forces, however, the Mexicans are sending troops down, so time will tell. It's going to be a long and drawn out war, but one I do believe the Brazilians cannot come back from. Really, they should just focus on one enemy. I would have focused on Argentina, taken them out, maybe even just gone for a quick peace deal, taken Uruguay and maybe Misiones, and then just left it at that. Even that would have taken a bit more than needed. And then I would have directed my efforts to Peru, just gone through the Amazon or through Bolivia, walked up through here, taken their capital, pieced out for whatever, and then we would have diverted our attention to Mexico and Venezuela, because there's quite a lot of land here that Brazil does really not need in the event of a war. There's a lot of poor provinces. Anyway, I digress. We have the Chinese change government form of Vietnam. Now, we knew this was coming, and the Liberian-Ghanaian imperialist war, just when I was saying Ghana was actually being quite the peaceful chap. So that's Burkina Faso, Liberia, and Senegal up against Ghana, Togo, and Mali. Ooh. Ghana has to carry the full weight of this alliance on its shoulders, and it's not going to be enough, I feel. However, the Ghanan military is quite significant. 20,000 troops up against 50,000, though. It's a bit unfair. Sorry, every time I pause to drink some tea. Anyway, we also have the Second Chadian-Nigerian imperialist war, which is quite a few troops. So Chad, Nigeria, and Fezzan up against Niger, Senegal, Libya, and Algeria. Algeria, of course, being a 2-province minor and not the behemoth it once was. However, Senegal has now split its forces, so maybe we'll see a bit of a different outcome. This does look like, indeed, it will be a significant win for Chad, however. And Chad's name will get bigger, and probably straighter. That'll be nice. Nothing's happened there yet. Ghana having problems of its own. they have roughly equal forces at the moment. Anyway, let's head over here. Brazil looking a bit worse for wear, but they are now turning their forces south. It's quite the development. It looks like they did lose a couple of battles that cost them a lot of troops, however. We do have 53,000 troops here, but where are their other stacks? They're all gone. Very, very problematic for Brazil indeed, as we see the one person, or the one country, excuse me, who could have united this province. Oh dear. This continent under one banner fails epically, and Brasilia has fallen to Peruvian troops. Anyway, the second Spanish conquest of Segu and the Egyptian-Libyan imperialist war. Egypt, Sudan, Libya, Niger. Well, Egypt will likely win this war. 80,000 troops. Whew. Yes, not something I would want to be on the receiving end of, that's for sure. Segu's have already vanished. We were going to check on that, but Spanish Mali quickly and efficiently took them. Somehow Sierra Leone has migrated from Sierra Leone actual all the way over to Kong, even though the country of Kong is right next to it. It's confusing. Anyway, Liberia has taken all but one province of Ghana, essentially put them out to dry as a major player in this area. Oh, that's a mess of religion. Oh, that pains me to see, pains me to look at. Anyway, but yes, now Liberia is a bit more of a major player, and they are allied with Senegal. However, they may come to clashes over Togo with Nigeria later on. And Egypt making pushes along the Nile and also taking a big chunk of Libya. Of course, it's the Sahara Desert, so not many people care apart from the Libyans. It's a sizable chunk of their development. Anyway, a couple of wars have ended when I wasn't paying attention. Brazil not significantly losing out, but definitely losing out here. They lost Acre, Guapo, and Rio Branco, and also down here they lost Corrientes and Yareu, and I do believe Salto as well. So they didn't lose very much. However, they did lose out, and that's the big thing here. It's very big indeed, because now the Argentinians have a direct link to Santa Catarina once more. This is shaping up to be very interesting, because the Peruvians somehow ended up on the same side as the Venezuelans, which was interesting, but it hasn't lasted, of course. We have Mexico and Argentina on the same side, and Venezuela allied with Mexico, but not with Argentina. Very, very interesting developments. Anyway, Tunisian reconquest of Jufra, and also there was a war here. Yep, Libya lost Benghazi, Darna, and Central Sahara, and Sudan lost even more of its land. Georgian reconquest of Abkhazia, and Saudi Arabian changed government form of Ethiopia. So Vietnam didn't get picked on too much. That reminded me, that changed government form thing. That's ironic, isn't it? Nah, they didn't get picked on too much. They could have come out of that a lot worse. But Saudis are now pushing it again. I just realised they didn't actually take anything in the last war. And, well, Wadi Halfa, Dongola, and those were the only two provinces taken there. Anyway, I think we're going to end up here. So Libya is going to fall to Tunisia, most likely, and we are going to see probably something sort itself out here. I really hope there's going to be something that makes this area unified, because the US is slowly pushing down, and eventually you're just going to have, well, at the rate the US is going, they may only end up to Campeche in the Yucatan Peninsula by then, but It's worrying. It's very worrying. And Venezuela is a very rich country, and I would hate to see them fail, as they have in real life. And that's something I haven't talked about very much in this video. That's a good thing. Anyway, see you all next time, and I hope you enjoyed another Europa Universalis 4 episode.